Hello, I'm Jack the Swart, and today I'm going to be making for you a coconut curry Malai Kofta. So inside this dish, you can find coconut, you can find onion, lots of spices, some potatoes, breadcrumbs, paneer, vegetable broth, maple syrup, and coconut, as well as garlic and a jalapeno. So I'm going to start by making the relish. Inside the relish, you can find 2 onions, 4 cloves of garlic, a jalapeno, and some ginger powder. As well as later we will be adding some cinnamon and some cardamom. So here's a relish all chopped up. As you can tell, I have not chopped it up finely. This is because later on I will be using a hand blender to finish chopping it for me. I will also be adding the ginger to it later. So for this recipe, something that I really like to do is when I'm heating up a pan, I do 2 parts butter and 1 part oil. It's a little heavy on the fat and maybe a little bit more expensive, but in the end, it's really good. So while the relish is on the stove, I'm now going to wash, peel, and cut off the spores of these potatoes. So believe it or not, this is actually my first time that I'm going to be opening up a coconut. So you see those 3 holes on the top? I believe that those are the weakest points on the coconut. So I'm going to be using an ice pick to hopefully make holes in those 3 little holes on the top and drain the juice out. Then from there, I'm not really too sure what I'm going to be doing, but I have to somehow get the inside open and get the flesh open. Worst case scenario, I do have some grated coconut that I can use instead. So, as it turns out, the ice pick is too weak, or maybe I'm too weak. So instead, I decided to use a hammer and a screwdriver. And here's my final product. I got the coconut water, chopped up the coconut flesh, and I'm going to be using this inside the sauce for the Malai Kofta. So now back to the relish. Here it is cooking in the pan. This is where I decided to add the maple syrup to it. I thought it gave it a really good color and it also tastes really good in the end. So here I am in the final stages of the sauce. On my right, I have the relish, and on my left, I have the coconut in the coconut water. To that, I'll be adding some vegetable broth, some curry powder, some coconut milk, as well as many other spices. So my next step is to prepare the pan. In the pan, I have 2 parts butter and 1 part oil. In that, I have added some cinnamon, some cloves, some cardamom pods, some bay leaves, and some cinnamon. Next, I added my coconut water, as well as the relish. And then here it is in its final state. So while I wait for my potatoes to boil, I am going to start to prepare the following ingredients. Some paneer, which is a traditional cheese used in India, some coconut, shredded coconut, as well as some cilantro, some spices, and some corn flour. So here's the potatoes boiling. Something to note when boiling potatoes is that we don't want these potatoes to be too soft or else they'll just turn into mashed potatoes. So I'm going to insert a fork into them, and depending on how well the potatoes stick into the fork, I'm going to judge to see how much more time they need. So from this, I can tell that they're still a little bit too stiff, so I'm going to give it a little bit more time. Here is the koftas in their dough form with the potatoes and all the other previously mentioned ingredients. Here's the pan that I'm going to be cooking the koftas in. It's an abelskiver. It's traditionally used in Denmark to cook Danish pancakes. Other pans that I would recommend using for this are puffages pans, or you can just roll them in balls and put them in the oven. So here are the koftas throughout the cooking in the abelskiver pan. And here they are when they're done. So now I'm going to plate the dish and you can see the final product. Note that I've added a little bit of cream and a little bit of a cilantro pesto. So thank you for listening to me for so long, and hopefully you like this dish, and hopefully it's really easy to recreate if you want to recreate it. Thank you.